What's going on YouTube? It's your host Bruce GNT back with another video, and for today's video this one's gonna be a little bit shorter than the usual. We're essentially just gonna address how Georgia plans to purge a whole lot of inactive voters. We're gonna discuss what that means for the people within Georgia and what it could mean in the future. So let's not waste any time, let's go.
This summer, Georgia election officials plan to remove more than 450,000 inactive voter registrations.
It's one of the largest cancellations of voter registrations in U.S. history, and critics are raising concerns tonight. Fox 5's Christopher King is at the state capitol.
The Secretary of State's office wants an accurate list of voters. Critics say canceling those registrations could cancel out legitimate voters.
And you still live in Georgia, you're still a resident, then you still should be able to vote.
Helen Butler is skeptical of a state plan to cancel hundreds of thousands of Georgia voter registrations.
I'm really concerned that really eligible voters will be removed.
The Georgia Secretary of State's office this summer will remove about 455,000 inactive voter registrations.
It's unfair.
Butler is the executive director of the Georgia Coalition for the People's Agenda. She worries the cancellations could disenfranchise people with unreliable mail delivery or have lost their homes and other legitimate registered voters.
There are a lot of people that are being removed just because they haven't voted in an election cycle, two presidential election cycles. People of color, people that are in underserved communities, rural areas, that always don't have transportation to vote.
According to the Electronic Registration Information Center, 170,000 voters appear to have moved. 100,000 people have not voted or had no contact with election officials for at least 9 years.
We do this to keep our voter lists accurate.
Blake Evans is the elections director with the Secretary of State's office.
It's very fair and it's in accordance with state and federal laws.
Under Georgia's Use It or Lose It law, voters can lose their registrations if they don't remain in contact with election officials for 5 years and they miss the next two general elections.
And we want to make sure that voters who live here and are lawfully registered to vote, that they are registered to vote. And anybody who moves out of state and has an outdated record, we want to make sure that they get their record removed following a lawful process.
The agency in July will publish a list of planned cancellations. Voters will get the chance to contact their county election officials to keep their registrations intact. At the state capitol, Christopher King, Fox 5 News.
You see, for one, I don't really see like a huge issue with that, and the reason why is because if it's been almost a decade and you haven't had any type of connection or contact with any type of voting, whether it's general election or presidential elections, then I can agree with the whole use it or lose it, because that shows that either you have no interest or you're not trying hard enough to vote. Yes, okay, I understand some people don't have transportation, everything like that. That's fair, but it's been 10 years. Look, people make time for things that they find to be important. If you want to make time to vote, if you want to make time to be informed in your general elections and who you're electing to lead your community, your neighborhood, and just make the day-to-day decisions what goes on in your life, I'm pretty sure you could find the ability to do so. So I understand what the woman was saying. I completely understand. But if you haven't been involved in like several voting cycles over the course of 10 years, okay, look, understand you may not have a vehicle. It sounds like a cop-out to me. It sounds like if you really wanted to, you could find a way to get some type of reliable transportation. Or I don't know, at the very least, if you find yourself in such dire straits to where you just have no means of getting to vote anywhere, right? And it's been 10 years. Maybe the last thing you should be worried about is voting and just getting your life together. Personally, I could be off, I could be wrong, but that's just what makes the most sense to me. Because if you're going 10 years without voting, 10 years with no type of contact, if it's been 10 plus years, if they see it's several different voting cycles and then you're someone that hasn't been in contact, look, they didn't keep these updated. They didn't make sure that people are actually getting information that they can and participating within our election cycle, within our process of electing, officials. And then not only that, it's really good to get these numbers, because then we could really see who's voting and the percentage of people that are actually voting, because there's a lot of people that keep talking about how they care about the community, they care about what's going on, but then when you look and pay attention to like the voting turnout and the percentages, especially within the black community, you see that there's a disproportionate amount. Now we can say, okay, well, that's because of income inequality and other stuff like that, but is it really? You know, we talk about how we as a community, we're very close knit, we're together, and if you're telling me that within one neighborhood that no one has any means to get to a voting like poll, no one had any mean, like you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's true. I could be wrong, but I just don't think that's true. Historically, I would have to say for the past 20 years or so, within different cities, especially with the predominantly black people, we've had low voter turnout rates. And I'm pressed to believe that it's because we just happen to be economically disadvantaged every single time, or we don't have a vehicle every single time. I don't want to believe that, you know, and I'm gonna try to have some like information to really source that to make sure that I'm not just talking on my ass. And who knows, maybe it is because, you know, we don't have the money to be able to get to certain locations, I guess, but I don't know. I'm hard pressed to believe that. Nothing against those people that are unable to do it and unable to get to where they need to get to be able to vote, but at the same time, to keep accurate records, you know, they got to do something. You know, something has to be done. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because I feel like not a lot of people are informed when it comes to, you know, their voter registration, just anything related to voting outside of a presidential election. So if you're able to, or if you're able to collectively get with other people that have the means to do so, make sure your voter registration is up to date and is taken care of, and you're answering any type of mail that you may be getting, because look, this is your right. You have the right to vote, and you should exercise that right, especially when it comes to making sure that the things that need to be done within our community through our elected officials is properly taken care of. Well, you guys already know the drill. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you want more. Peace.